During an attack on a village said to hold rebels, Syrian soldiers were attacked by a civilian mob. Many were injured and one man was even bitten. Casualty rates continue to rise in the Middle East as civilian unrest grows. In other news, Ultimate Frisbee is set to become an Olympic sport, leaving Ultimate players and fans rejoicing everywhere. This has been Alonzo's Adventures at Drake News, keeping you updated on all of your semi-relevant news topics. The United States and some countries in Europe have begun accepting refugees from the ongoing crisis. However, due to the slow process, many have fled overland to countries such as Egypt for easier access. In other news, the inventor of Bitcoin, popular online currency, Craig Wright's home was invaded by tax officers. This has been Alonzo's Adventures at Drake News, keeping you updated on all semi-relevant news. A scuffle broke out in a U.S. refugee camp between a refugee and a U.S. soldier. The refugee was unfortunately killed. There have been unconfirmed rumors of a new disease breaking out in Syria, and reports say that hit show American Horror Story is just as weird as ever. This has been Alonzo's Adventures at Drake News. A new disease, somewhat alike to rabies, has been noticed in several refugee camps. However, despite the doomsday warnings of the man on 13th and University, the government insists that it is being well isolated. In other news, Star Wars fans everywhere are, so excited, dude, for the new movie. I'm Alonzo, and these are your semi-relevant news stories. More and more cases of this new disease, nicknamed the sapiens flu, have been noticed both inside and outside of refugee camps. However, the average citizen dismisses it as just another scare. In other news, my fish and I are almost at our 1-year anniversary. I'm Alonzo, and this is the news. A video has surfaced of a citizen infected by the sapiens flu eating another. However, in order not to scare off my younger viewers, I have not shared it. I recommend watching an episode of The Walking Dead, as it is highly similar. If any of my fans want to get me Christmas presents, I recommend Nike Elite socks, as I am an elite reporter, and I need elite footwear for my elite feet. Cases of the sapiens flu have been noticed in more developed countries such as Egypt and Macedonia. Disaster preppers have begun to stock up on food and water, and doctors have begun to study the disease. This is Alonzo, and this is the news. The first public outbreak has been quelled in America. The heroic officer fired several rounds into the chest of the infected person, and doctors have come to the conclusion that bites are the cause. However, due to lack of funds, I could not pay one to speak on my show as to the science of the matter. All outbreaks have begun to occur globally as civil unrest continues to grow. Donald Trump has become a national frontrunner in the elections as his plans to stop accepting refugees and build walls around the country begin to sound better and better in the face of the sapiens flu. The incubation period of the disease is approximately 7 days, and the affected lose all control by the 9th day. Psychologists have warned against hiding infected family members, as in the end it only makes it harder. More outbreaks have caused a large amount of citizens to panic. However, the government urges everyone to remain calm, as they have begun to initiate emergency protocols. There has been a large-scale outbreak in New York, sending the United States into a full-blown panic. Citizens are calling for a way to identify the infected, while the army struggles to contain the New York outbreak. World panic continues to grow as more and more outbreaks continue to occur in countries such as England, Germany, and China. Russia has gone dark, though whether or not it's due to a mass outbreak or a severance of communications is unclear. Containment has failed in the New York outbreak, and I urge all of you to stay inside and be careful in the next few days as the army sorts this all out. New policies suggest abandoning certain areas in order to secure key safety zones. This has caused an uproar. However, there is a large amount of support for it among the more conservative areas. This is Alonzo, and this is the news. A safety area in St. Louis, Missouri has been compromised due to a family hiding an infected member. Once again, I urge you all to be careful and not hide your infected family members. Mandatory weekly inspections are now occurring in all safe zones, as most states have begun to secure one or two areas. West of the Rockies is somewhat safe, however, the East Coast only has a few scattered forts. An alliance has been formed to attempt to take back the world. Russia has refused to join it. However, many other countries have signed on to combat the sapiens flu threat. President Vladimir Putin of Russia has been assassinated. His successor has agreed to join the Allied force to combat the sapiens flu epidemic, now being heralded as a zombie apocalypse. The Allied armed forces have stalled the zombie expansion in Europe, and in other news, Justin Bieber has been infected, much to the dismay of teenage girls everywhere. I myself am relieved. Some controversy has arisen based on the continued deployment of troops to already secure areas. In other news, zombie hunting permits are now being sold. However, you have to take a special class in order to be eligible to get one. The US has finally reclaimed New York, and the government has promised to aid flagging efforts in the European theater. Zombie rights groups and soldiers advocate groups have begun to protest the war, and the governments have given in and scaled down the armed forces' presence. The world has largely been reclaimed, however, small outbreaks are still the norm in many countries. In other news, your beloved news anchor has been bitten. So this is the last broadcast of Alonzo's Adventures at Drake News. This is Alonzo, and having delivered semi-relevant news to you for over 3 years, I am signing off.